this is by far the thing that in my career and across the board, it's not just me personally, but the number one factor that goes into it is say you have an amputation, you report to OSHA, they show up the next day. By far, that's of the last like 10 of these I've been a part of. As far as on-site OSHA presence, that's what has occurred. There's been a serious injury, we report to OSHA, and then the next day they're there, or the day after next they show up, right? So from a staffing standpoint, it makes sense. They're limited. They're more limited now than they have been in a long time from a resource aspect. So where are they going to spend their time? They're going to go to places where they see the injury, they see the exposure, they know there's a concern. Amputation's a good example. If there's an amputation, 9 times out of 10, they're going to show up and they want to see your lockout program. They want to see the machines. Was there adequate guarding? Typically, and this is from a safety standpoint and compliance as well, if you have adequate guarding, if we're locking up machines as we should, then an amputation is kind of impossible. And that's typically OSHA's stance is, hey, if someone lost a finger and I show up, if the machine was guarded, it wouldn't have happened. If the guard was removed and it was locked out, it wouldn't have happened, right? The second one that is the most common scenario where I see OSHA on site would be worker complaints or referrals, which happens a lot. I'm sure most people on this call have probably dealt with this as well. Normally, though, the complaints don't lead to an on-site visit. They lead to a documentation request, which means, hey, we got a phone call from so-and-so. They said that they're not properly trained on forklifts and the forklifts are being operated in a way that is unsafe. Then they'll request that you send them as the employer copies of training records, what your training program looks like. They look at it. If it looks good, they say, great, it's gone, right? No issue. That happens a lot. And no big deal, right? So if you're on this call and this has never happened, if and when it does happen, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, don't panic, right? It's fairly routine that OSHA will send a documentation request. It does not mean they're going to show up necessarily, but pay attention to your response, right? Be thorough, respond in a way that is adequate. Don't overshare, right? Stick to what they're asking. It's not your time to brag. It's just address what conditions they've asked you to address, and then typically you're fine, right? Now, if you were to respond and they can see that you have back to the forklift example, and they see you have a really shabby forklift program, your training is not adequate, the individual who says they weren't trained, in fact, was not trained, then they might show up. But if everything's fine, you're okay.